Properties, honestly, are very straightforward, and there's very little that is strange or surprising. So, I'm not even gonna start with those because some people find them confusing because they're too easy. Let's just look at the coefficient rule. B is supposed to represent a number multiplier. So that's what a coefficient is. So like 5x, the 5 is called a coefficient because it's a number multiplier. So if you have a number multiplier and you're taking the limit, you can choose to bring the number multiplier out front and do it after the fact if you want, if it makes the problem easier. This is basically just saying you can multiply whenever you want, before or after, and it's still correct. Sum or difference rule. So let's say you have the limit of x squared plus 2x. Those are two different terms, and you would be allowed to take the limit of both of them together, or the limit of x squared and the limit of 2x separately. Whichever works easier, whatever it is. It's the same either way, plus or minus. Product rule, same thing. If I've got the limit of, I don't know, I should think of something in my head here. If I've got the limit of x plus 3 times another product, x minus 2, I could take the limit of them together, or take the limit of x plus 3 times the limit of x plus 2. I would still have the multiplication in there. It's just whether I do the limit before or after. It basically is saying it doesn't matter when you apply a limit. And that works the same for almost everything. Division, you could do the limit before or after. The only caveat they say is the limit to the bottom can't be 0, because then it doesn't work. Power rule and root rule should not be separate. You guys should know that a root is a power. Like you probably did that quite a bit last year, I think, right? Like a square root is a 1/2 power. That's gonna be pretty common this year. You generally are never gonna use roots. You're gonna use them as a power instead. So these two are the same, but nonetheless, you can do the power before or after. Composite function is really the only one that I guess has some, set criteria here. If you have f of g of x, do you guys remember doing composites last year? You probably had to do Fogg and Goff. I think that's how the book writes them. So composite functions would be, if I have x plus 3 in parentheses to the 5th power, that's a composite function because x plus 3 would be g of x, the inside. The 5th power would be the f of x, the outside. Like you see composites all the time, you're just not used to it, or like that calling them that. But you can take the limit of the whole item or the limit of the inner function first and then do the outer function, but you only do the limit once. You wouldn't do the limit twice. This is the only one where I feel like some people make mistakes. I'll go back to the top ones before I forget. K represents a number. So like the limit as x approaches whatever you want of the equation 5. So if you see a graph that's 5, it's a flat line 5, 5. No matter what number you're looking at x-wise, the height of the graph is always 5. So if this is just a number, that's the answer for everything. This one, y equals x, is a 45-degree line. Whatever number you put in place of x is the answer. And those are all the limits. Those are all the properties. Like, I didn't even want to take a ton of time on this. I thought it would be more productive for us to do problems together. I don't think the properties are difficult. They're there. Like the next page. I just feel like it'd be better if we just did them together and show you how they're going to be used. I think you're going to find this section super easy compared to the last one. Doing everything I can. Is it? Oh, man, no, I got you instead of your sisters. What's your sister's name now? Okay. So Abby. I thought for sure I was calling your sister's name and I was trying to remember yours. Okay, I guarantee I'm gonna screw it up and go backwards now. I think you answered the last one. So who's gonna help me answer this one? She just went, sort of. She started. Yeah, but the first person is kind of a stressful one, so they get the option of answering her. Oh, okay, way to go real far. I've got the limit as x approaches 3 plus. These questions are from that picture. I guess both pictures, but I can't see the second one. How should I go about doing this?
Find the limit as x approaches 3 in the top graph and in the bottom graph.
Correct. We're just gonna find their limits individually. And that works much easier because we have 2 separate pictures, so finding them separately is very easy. Okay, do you want to answer that, or do you want somebody else to answer that?
Oh, someone else can.
Okay. Time did we get done? 2:05. Aiden, how do I find limit as x approaches 3 plus? What is that telling me to do?
Come from the right.
Okay, the right side of x equals 3. So x equals 3 is this line. I mean, you guys can literally hold your pencil at x equals 3 or your finger or whatever. On the right hand side, what is the height of the line?
6.
6. Good. Eight. So the right hand side of that line is 8. That looks correct. And, oh, okay. If you guys have questions throughout, feel free to just ask them. It's easier to answer them right away. Is that pretty straightforward? I can't tell how difficult this is to you.
Very good. This way you have to like write out the equations.
So, I guess, I think what you're asking is, do you have to write limit twice, possibly? Yes. So if I'm taking the original function and I'm showing the property that says I can evaluate them separately, that's how I would write that. I don't have an actual equation to write, so I just rewrite f of x g of x. And then you don't, once you find the answer, you just write a number in place of the limit. So how I wrote it up there is kind of like the official way to write it. I'm gonna do my best to try to write correct notation for you guys, even though it can get really long. Should we move on? Should we keep going? Yeah, this one's not bad? Okay, because I want to skip the rest of the graph ones otherwise. Or should we do some down here? Maybe take a look at the bottom ones and see if there's one you feel like we should work on together. And I'd be okay just picking that. I can just pick what I think should be hard. K? Sure. Come on. So the limit as x approaches -2 of f of g of x. If I use the property says that I can do the limit, so f of the limit of the inside. So I am gonna find the limit at -2 of g of x. At -2, it appears to be a height of about -3. We'll just do our best to estimate the answers, because it's not exact. But it looks like the answer should be -3. So, this would mean I'm going to do f of -3. And then that would mean on the upper graph, at x equals -3, the height of the graph, -6. So part of it is just going to be using the properties the way they're written. The composite one is the only one that's different. How about the roots or the division one? Like, I feel like those are pretty straightforward. Okay, then let's move on. This one is different. This one is different only in the fact that you do not have a graph. It tells you what the answers are for a made-up number. So x equals c is the number. Like, so it's just some random number that you don't know. And, but it does give you the answer for that one. So we have 3 answers and we'll work from that. Who ended up answering last? Did you get to call anybody yet?
No.
No. Oh, I did the whole composite one, didn't I? Yeah, okay.
Let me give it to Jason.
That didn't sound very random.
I'll-
Okay, okay. Well, it sounds like we're gonna have to go back to the bingo roller because you guys are going very pointed with your call-outs. Jason, can you help me with A? Any details? Tell me how to do it.
So, I think like h of x and like they tell us what h of x is, so we can just like plug that in, same thing for like g of x.
Yep, you are 100% right.
So like 3 times negative.
Correct. Basically, you're just gonna write in the answers in place of h of x and g of x. We could take the time writing this correctly, and we could say that this is going to be the square root of 3 times the limit of h of x as x approaches c minus 2 times the limit of g of x as x approaches c. But I feel like this one we can pretty much do in our head, and there's no reason to. This would be a multiple choice question on the AP test, and so in that case, if you know an answer in your head, you just do it. So this one, proper writing wouldn't really benefit any. So what do we got, 12 plus 4, 16. And if I ever skip too much arithmetic and you're not sure where I got an answer from, just tell me and I'll try to write in between. But otherwise, I know a lot of these problems, you guys are pretty good at doing the numbers in your head.
Yeah, for the square root, does it matter if you like write the plus or minus on like in the front, or does it not matter?
For which, oh, the square root?
Yeah, no, like the plus minus, like plus,
There is no plus or minus.
or is it?
So I know what you're thinking of. If you have a square root sign on its own, it is either going to be positive or if there's a minus in front, negative. If you have a variable squared, whatever. If you have a variable squared, this references that there would be 2 solutions. And so taking the square root of a squared creates plus or minus. So the only time the plus and minus happens is when you do square root of a square. So like this one, there is no squared, so that's why we wouldn't do a plus or minus. I don't know, is there a more difficult one down below? Yeah, that one looks like it. Sure, why don't you guys try 3 on your own? What is this? It's just plugging numbers in.
He wasn't much very good.
What do you mean, ooh, just because Cuba? You guys are the smart ones here, you should be able to just do this. You guys are going into professions that need this calculation ability.
Hope not,
Well, then why would you take calc?
because college credits. I don't look good on that transcript.
That's not true. No, it doesn't. Like,
Yeah, more rigorous courses. Sure.
not necessarily. They're not going to knock somebody down that doesn't take calc over somebody that took calc because this person's good at math and this person's good at art. They're not going to compare you like that.
There's two people with a 4.0 GPA and one took like 8 calc and one took like art.
But if you're not going into a profession that needs calc, why would you take calc?
Because you're able to learn at a high level in harder classes.
I wouldn't want not to take it. It would be
I mean,
boring.
if I was the guy that was taking, I would take the.
I get what you're saying, but if you're headed into a profession that is non-STEM, thinking at that high level is no benefit.
Well, I don't know, I'm just not
I,
sure.
I
what
would
wanna
still
do.
take the more accomplished guy. That's
Okay?
I don't know, I'm just not sure. I'm not 100%, so I don't want to like limit myself by not taking.
If you don't know what you're going into,
I'm like 80% sure.
yeah, if you don't know what you're going into, there's nothing wrong with trying all of them.
Yeah, this
opens up your opportunities.
Exactly. That's
But I
exactly.
met many people that already knew what they were going into, like a veterinarian, zeroed in on the spot.
I'm just not, I'm not gonna not take it.
Exactly.
I mean, I gotta take it.
Oh, there's lots of math options.
Yeah.
You don't have to take calc, is what I'm saying.
I don't think.
We have other
How
options.
do you like choose
There's stats, there's CIS, there's algebra, like, there's other math classes. If you're not good at calculations and math, this year's gonna go down.
Not good.
Yeah, you find out right away.
Yeah.
Jason, did we call on somebody yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, well, this person is gonna be the first person, the ceremonial first person of the year to come up to the board.
Me? Okay.
No, you get to choose that person.
Oh, okay.
But I would give a random number rather than,
Okay, table 16.
that didn't sound too random. Oh, yeah, that sounded, when you look at the person and say 16, that doesn't seem very random. I don't know, who's 16? Oh, right up here. Oh, here, I thought for sure you were 16, because you were looking straight at him. Wait, you already went there, didn't you? Yeah, you don't have to go again.
Okay, it'll be like actually random, like 22.
What do you mean actually random?
Like actually, like,
That's me, right?
You already went too.
You're so bad.
Go up
21.
one.
21. Perfect. I'm not looking for proper notation, just proper work. And don't forget, you've got Rexy and Roxy with you in spirit, and you can call on anybody to help you out too. You can get people to come up with you to help you out if you want some help. And or you can ask me. Yeah, that's perfect so far. Good? Yeah. So that one's what? Negative 64? So negative 66 plus 32, negative 34? Negative 34. Yeah, I don't expect you to do that kind of arithmetic in your head, yeah. Okay, nice. No. 4. Wait. I think it's negative 34. Yeah. Put your palm on there? Okay. Perfect. Nice job. I don't have my treats and candy here yet. Sam's Club is slow on delivery. Otherwise, anybody that goes up to the board absolutely can grab some treats. Okay, that is perfect. Questions about where that came from, or maybe you're unsure, maybe you got something different, I don't know.
Specifically like the negative, like root at like
So he did the cube root of 8 in his head, I'm assuming? Yeah. So the cube root of f of x would mean the cube root of 8. So what number times itself 3 times is 8? So that'd be 2 times 2 times 2. If you're wondering how to do it on the calculator, hit the math button. And the math button will have 2 options there. They actually, one have a direct cube root button. Otherwise, they have one that I think says x root. And so you would type in whatever number root you want.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Could you also go to the 1/3?
You can also do to the 1/3 power. Yeah. If anybody in here has a TA 89, I don't think I saw any of those.
Oh, how did they go?
There's 89 and 92,
Oh my god.
but the Inspire is smarter than those. That doesn't have a number. There's an Inspire CAS that could do calculus.
I didn't want to know how expensive those things are.
They're the same price. Yeah. Texas Instruments they don't follow any kind of rules. TI-83s and TI-84s use a computer chip from early 1980, from the Apple IIe, the very first Apple computer. And they still charge you $110 for probably $3 in parts. So they're the definition of monopoly for,
Getting ripped off.
yeah. Okay. Anything on this page that you see that might cause you some hesitation or confusion that you want me to clarify? My guess is once you get the idea of what you're doing with the properties, you fly through them. They're actually the easiest questions that you love on the AP test because they're not ones you have to think too much about. And or even on our chapter tests, they're great because you feel confident on those. Okay, I don't think there was really much left in the notes that we needed to look at, but let me double check. Should we do something like this? Do you remember composites at all? I mean, the main reason I'm asking is if there's things you forgot, because we have only got 5 minutes left of class, but I'll happily try to refresh on something that you don't remember. So I would take a look at kind of like the last page of notes here and see if there's something that you want me to quickly cover with you. A, so that first one? Sure. So it says given f of x and g of x, find the limit of f of g of x. So we can do it 2 ways. We can A, either take g and put that in place of each x, and then plug 2 into the limit. Oh, actually we haven't. I'm actually surprised this question's here because we haven't talked about how to do limits with equations. Just telling you, you plug the number in, that's all it is. Okay, so we could do that. That is a normal composite function. That sounds quite slow and a lot of work. So I would use the limit property where we are going to do f of the limit as x approaches 2 of g of x, which in this case is negative 2x. And I feel like I'm missing something because you haven't learned how to do this yet. Okay, well, you just plug the number in. So negative 2 times 2. You put it in place of x. So the limit as x approaches 2 of negative 2x would be negative 4. 2 times negative 2. And then f of negative 4 would mean I put negative 4 in place of each x. So negative 4 cubed minus negative 4 squared plus 4 times negative 4 minus 1. Maybe minus. So we've got negative 64 minus 16 minus 16. Oh, there's a lot of minus. 70, 80, 96, 97, I think. What?
Wouldn't there be an X
Nope, you're putting a number in place of X. So right here, we put the 2 in place of X.
Oh.
And then that's where -4 came from.
Why?
Why, which part?
Where you put 2 in place of X, like how can you do that?
Yeah, that's the part I was saying, you guys haven't learned that yet, so I'm not sure why this question's here.
What Tommy's saying, so,
Yeah, this is actually section 5.
this is a negative 2x, and the x in there, and then it's just like.
Well, I get what you do, but like it doesn't make sense that you're able to do that.
Yeah, you'll learn that in
Okay.
section 5, I guess.
Then what are
I'm unsure why this question's here.
Okay.
You'll find that throughout the year, the person that put all these notes together, we purchased them because they fit the AP test a lot better than the textbook did. And so these work a lot better for us. But the person that put them together sometimes does things that aren't logical. Like this, it's there, but you haven't learned how to do it. So, I mean, you're obviously not ever gonna be tested on that or something. So if you run into something in the homework that you have zero idea how to do, that's fine. That's kind of why I ask afterwards and things like that. You're never losing points because your question in the homework is wrong or, anything like that. Your points are only on tests. Okay,